Hello students, let's read the problem. And it says, at the zoo, there are 10 amphibians for every 240 mammals. Which of the following graphs shows the same unit rate? Okay, so what are they talking about here? Well, I see that they're talking about a zoo, and the relationship that they're showing you, it's kind of like a comparison. They said, if I was to count 10 amphibians at the zoo, then I would find 240 mammals. Okay? In other words, if you find another 10 amphibians, you will find another 240 mammals, and so on and so forth. Right? So the question is, which one shows the same unit rate? So if you look at the graphs, first of all, let's see who's X and who's Y. So amphibians, if you notice, I see no description in the graph. There's no labels, right? But we're going to be checking on that because I can see amphibians as a 10 and mammals is a larger number. So just by looking at the graph, maybe we can say, well, the amphibians are going to be on X. Why? Because I can see that those are smaller numbers. And on Y, I see the numbers are quite big. They get all the way to 100 and something, 192 on this one, right? So we can assume that amphibians is going to be X, right? Because of the kind of numbers that I see. And the mammals are going to be the Y axis, because that's the one that has those large numbers, okay? So since I want to make a comparison, I'm going to stay with the way that we do it normally as far as like comparison of the Y and the X, okay? So I'm going to say change of the Y over the change of the X, just to keep it consistent. So we have done it like that. So the Y is going to be the mammals. So I'm going to write it down over here. Remember that I believe that writing your comparison is very important, okay? And then here it's going to be the amphibians. So now I can write some numbers here, right? So mammal says that it's 240, so it goes on the numerator. And amphibians is going to be 10, okay? Now, if I want to write that comparison as a coordinate where X and Y is included, right? I want an order pair, then just be careful because X is actually a 10 and Y is 240. Okay? Make sure that you write the X and the Y where they belong. So if I want to use those coordinates, you will notice that if X, it's my smaller number, which is my X 10 over here, notice how the larger number is 8 on every single one of the graphs. So I cannot really use that point or that order pair. I'm going to need to simplify, okay? So to simplify, I'm going to write down my 240 over 10 again. And you can decide what do you want to divide the numerator and denominator by, okay? It's going to be up to you. My advice is the more equivalent ratios that you find, the better it's going to be, because then you can compare those in the graph, okay? So let's suppose that I want to simplify by dividing this by 2. So what's 240 divided by 2? Well, that gives me 120. And 10 divided by 2 is a 5. So this is what we're saying right now. Then we're saying that my 240 is equivalent to 120 and 10 goes with a 5, okay? So that's the comparison that we're doing right now. What about from there? Can I find a number that divides these two at the same time? Both of them can be divided by 5, okay? And I am going to go with 120 divided by 5 and 5 divided by 5. So 120 divided by 5 gives me a 24, and 5 divided by 5, it's 1. So this is equivalent to the other two that I have there, okay? So we agree that I cannot use the first one because I cannot find the 10 on the graph, but I'm gonna write down the next point. And X is a 5, Y is 120, and on the next point is gonna be a 1 and a 24. So what does that mean? Okay, so let's see if we can read it. The 120 means that if I was to count 120 mammals, I will find 5 amphibians. That's why this comparison is so important. What about the next one? 24 and 1. Well, that means 24 what? Mammals, right? For every one amphibian. Very good. So comparisons are very, very important. Make sure that you write them down all the time. I can now go and find those for me. So I'm going to start with 1 on X and 24 on Y. So 1, it's right here, and 24, it's right here. Okay, so go ahead and follow both of them, and look at where the point is. The point is not on the line. So letter A cannot be my answer. Okay, if you feel that maybe there's something wrong with that, and you're like, man, what about if it was okay? Go to the next one. I'm gonna go with 5 and 120. This is 5, this is 120. The point where these two meet, this is the space, that's not even on the line. Okay, so I checked 2 points, not good. Let's go to B. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go to 1 and 24. 24 should be a little bit less than 25. So the point I feel that is a little bit lower than the line. But if you feel that, what about if that was the one, means, but because I don't have a precise location for 24, then let's check the next one. 5 and 120. So this is my 5, and 120 will be somewhere over here. This is 100, this is 125, so it has to be less than that. So go across and go up on 5. That one is still lower than what I thought it was supposed to be. Is that right? So I can see that those points are not in the location that I needed. Okay, they're kind of close, but not exactly. Let's look at letter C. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with 1 and 24. This is 1. 24 will be just slightly under 25. And that point is not on the line. You can check the second point, which is 5 and 120. So 5 is on X, 120 is on Y. Go across and go up. This is the point where those two intersected, and that's not even on the line. So it seems to be the answer, right? Well, let's check. I'm going to go find 1 and 24. So here's my 1, and this one actually has 24 on the Y. And look at how those are exactly on the intersection of the two whole numbers, right? So what about the next one? 5 and 120. Here's my 5. Here's my 120. So go across and go up. And what do you notice? It's exactly on the line. Okay, so that's what we say that the answer should be letter D. Very good.